For years, they weaponized the justice system against their political enemies. They launched investigations, leaked to the press, and destroyed lives without consequence. But tonight, the boomerang is in flight. Just hours ago, federal whistleblower Colonel Timothy Schindler went on camera with Laura Logan and delivered a warning that should terrify every deep state operative in Washington. If power shifts, the people who weaponize justice become the targets themselves. And that shift has already happened. Ed Martin and the DOJ Weaponization Working Group have opened investigations into Senator Adam Schiff and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Yes, the hunters are becoming the hunted. Now let's talk about what is really at stake here. Because for years, Adam Schiff stood in front of cameras claiming he had direct evidence of Russian collusion. He lied, he leaked classified information, he used his position on the Intelligence Committee to wage political warfare. Letitia James ran for Attorney General on the promise to get Trump, not to uphold the law, to get one man. She weaponized her office for political persecution, and now the same machinery they used against their enemies is turning around. Ed Martin laid out the framework months ago on Sunday Morning Futures. The DOJ Weaponization Working Group has been compiling the evidence. They have been documenting the abuses, and now with the power shift complete, those files are becoming active investigations. And Colonel Schindler calls it the boomerang. When you weaponize the system, you better hope you never lose power, because the precedent that you set becomes the precedent used against you. And some breaking news on the health front. Big Pharma's weight loss injection empire is facing a crisis. A major new analysis found people who stopped taking Ozempic gained back nearly all the weight within a year. Now, that's the catch. You see, these drugs only work while you're on them. They're expensive. And the moment you stop, your body fights back. But here's the breakthrough. BioTrust GLP-1 Elevate helps your body naturally trigger the same hunger-controlling signals without needles, without prescriptions, and without the scary side effects. It promotes fullness, reduces cravings, supports fat loss, and helps keep blood sugar at healthy levels. And right now, get 40% off only at trimwithgary.com, plus a 60-day guarantee and free shipping at trimwithgary.com. Now, Colonel Schindler's interview with Laura Logan laid it out. He explained that the boomerang is not just a theory, it's actually happening right now. The people who thought that they were untouchable, who believe they could weaponize federal agencies without consequence, are watching the same tactics turned against them. Adam Schiff is facing scrutiny for his leaks and his lies. Letitia James is facing consequences and questions about her politically motivated persecutions. And the DOJ is under new leadership, is no longer protecting those protectors. You see, the working group has the receipts. The investigations are active, and the deep state operatives who spent years destroying others are about to learn what it feels like to be on the receiving end. Let's take a look here. We have this. This is Americans being destroyed by their own government, not for crimes, for belief. The video says everything. Weaponization ends, we expose it.
Go after people.
The work has just started in many ways, because for the opposition, their motto is weaponization today, weaponization tomorrow, weaponization forever.
What I've witnessed is the full force of a weaponized government, a system that punishes citizens instead of protecting them.
The DOJ uses novel applications of statutes to go after people that it doesn't like under vague conspiracy statutes.
Charge them with forced labor conspiracy.
He was given 300 years for a conspiracy case.
The FBI surrounded my house.
No underlying crime. It's a victimless crime.
With a conspiracy, they don't need any victims.
What they're doing is they're saying, we don't like this group of people. Well, we don't have a statute to prosecute them for it. Let's creatively interpret this thing and put these people in prison.
I could rattle off numerous cases, a state and federal level. That should give everyone in this room chills.
I did 3 years in solitary confinement.
Arrested at gunpoint at 7 a.m. with 10 SUVs and helicopters.
I heard the prosecutor on day one manufacture evidence to the jury and lie to the jury.
The prosecutors had to admit that the evidence was fake, but the case continued on and they went to trial.
If that institution continues to be eroded, then we lose that freedom for all time.
What they did to my family was atrocious.
And it's going to be worse the next time. unless we stay united.
Weaponization Watch has to continue, and you're going to help us continue the mission.
I think the most important word in Weaponization Watch is the word watch. We have less than 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. Turn this ship around.
We have less than 3 years to turn this ship around. Those guys are on at weaponizationwatch.com. Check them out. President Trump on the government weaponization.
Government, I'm one of the people that survived, but they weaponized the government. We had the most weaponized government. Our election was rigged. They went after me. I was impeached twice. I was indicted. They indicted me. I came out good. Here we are in the White House. Things are looking nice, but they were vicious. And they are vicious. They're sick people. I'm one of them.
And it's all turning around. IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler saw firsthand the weaponization of the federal government during the last administration. They tell Laura Trump about their concerns and about reliving it in their new book, Whistleblowers versus the Big Guy.
Weaponization of federal government. We talk about weaponization of federal government and how dangerous it is, and when the reality is, we saw exactly how it was weaponized under the Biden administration, and that's part of the reason why we want to put the book out there.
So there's a new book. We got this high-ranking attorney general employee caught on tape admitting to weaponizing government. I'm not going to play the full clip. It looks like it's a long one.
I'm going to play a quick clip here.
Oh,
this clip
too.
Involves Criminal Bureau Chief Danielle Hageman Clark. You'll hear her speak. It also involves a detective sergeant from the Michigan State Police. And this is a discussion that's going to be had after a proffer has been proposed to an individual, and the individual leaves the room. And the only individuals left in the room are, as I mentioned, Ms. Hageman Clark, a couple of state police detective sergeants, another staff member from the Attorney General's office, as well as 2 special agents that both work for and directly to the Attorney General's office. So this is them discussing what they're going to do in regard to a case against an individual prior to choosing the venue.
Okay, so what next? Anything else you guys want to ask them?
There might be stuff after we break it down, but I think I'm good for right now. I like him. I mean, he's full of credible.
To me, it seems like, and we can do however you guys want to do this, but if we can prosecute anybody in Oakland County versus Roscommon County, love you guys to death up there. Yeah, I don't want a jury up there. Yeah, right. Like, I'm not down with trying to pick no Roscommon jury. Managing people. I'm trying to pick an Oakland County jury. I'm not going that far. I know. I'm like, Listen, I really like Mary Beebe. I think she's a great prosecutor up there, but I don't want to be picking a jury of her peers up there on this kind of crap.
Did you hear those words? Did you hear those words? I'm going to reiterate a couple of the sentences that were in here. I'm not down with trying to pick no Roscommon jury. I think she's a great prosecutor up there, but I don't want to be taking a jury of her peers up there on this kind of crap. That's the criminal bureau chief of the Attorney General's office. That is an absolute and clear violation of ethics.
So it just shows you the weaponization is at all levels. And here is the whistleblower, Laura Logan, speaking to Dr. Timothy V. Schindler, Colonel U.S. Marine retired, and federal whistleblower. How this kind of subversion happens is what the rear guard does. Let's listen.
Just doesn't get to their...
I asked you, how does this happen? And you said this is what the rear guard does. Who is the rear guard and what is the rear guard?
The rear guard...
And how are they able to do this?
When you run a complex organization, a large organization, if you don't want the boss to see things, you simply take care of it. Just doesn't get to their desk. It's just, I mean, when you have an organization of, say, 15 or 20,000 people, geographically dispersed across the nation, A broom sweeps only what it touches. And if you're not holding the broom, it's not sweeping. And you could have the best intentions in the world, but if you don't have a loyal crew, a loyal group of people that share your vision, then they can undermine you. And that's exactly what's occurring. They're undermining them. I mean, let's be honest. For the state of play for this case right now, we have to believe that the President of the United States signs out a presidential policy directive, and he specifically says, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. The Attorney General signs out a memorandum that says, I'm in absolute lockstep with my boss, and we're going to fix the corruption that exists inside the department. And then she goes so far as to set up a weaponization working group. Yet, an assistant attorney says, I represent the United States of America, and I don't want you to investigate corruption that specifically involves the DOJ. Not only is it completely bereft, it's illegal, it violates every rule, every canon and every rule of jurisprudence. It's against the very canons for being a lawyer even, not to mention a governmental attorney.
Okay, I understand that.
He wouldn't do that by himself. He didn't just volunteer to do it. He didn't just say one day, hey, I'll just do that. He was directed to do it. Now,
by who?
Well, that's a good question. Now, if someone were to ask me as an investigator, I know what I would do.
What?
Well, I would simply subpoena him immediately, and I would ask him, are you now representing the United States of America, or did someone tell you to do this? And if they did, who? Mm-hmm. And I would work my way up the chain, just the way you're supposed to. I mean, this isn't.
Well, these are the answers the American people want, and
not want. They need.
Yes,
because their nation, our nation is only as strong as the quality of people who volunteer to perform these duties.
So who do you believe is directing him? What does your investigation and your research show? What is the rear guard?
We had a whistleblower who sent an official disclosure to the acting Attorney General before Pam Bondi was even put in office. And he said to him that all of the assistant U.S. attorneys that had worked for Jack Smith need to be investigated. But they didn't investigate him. They simply just let him go without any accountability, without any statutory obligatory requirement to who told you to do what, why did you do what you did.
So they let them off the hook.
They simply let them go.
I know, but who? That doesn't answer the question.
Oh, that was the acting assistant, the acting Attorney General.
Okay, but who directed it?
I'll get you the disclosure. I don't have the name right on the top of my head, but I'll get you the disclosure.
That's of who he was, but who directed him to do that?
I cannot answer that question, but he can.
Right. But the point is that you're making is that these things are not random. They're not arbitrary. No. They're part. So this, again, is this coming from the rear guard?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what is the rear guard? Can you explain that?
The rear guard is a group of people that are ideologically driven to a particular point of view. And that point of view is not shared by the current administration.
But is it organized?
Of course it's organized.
So what's the organization then?
Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency.
Which is what?
The SIGI.
The SIGI.
Yes, a system that was designed to ensure the programs and operations of the federal government were effective and efficient. The whole point was when Elon Musk came in and performed the duties of the Inspectors General for the government, everybody acted shocked when they went, hey, there's like money hemorrhaging everywhere. Wow, nobody seems to know what's going on. But funny, the only people that were statutorily required, programs and operations, effectiveness, efficiency of the government, specifically created by Congress, were the Inspectors General. And they said nothing.
It was their job.
Nothing. It was not only their job, they failed at their job.
Yeah, but their job, as they were required by law, they were created for that purpose.
Specifically for that purpose.
Wow.
Okay, but so we're talking about the Council for Inspector Generals on Integrity and Efficiency, SIGI, right?
Yes.
When was that created?
1978.
No, the question is about SIGI. When was SIGI
that was created in
created?
2008.
By?
It was done in conjunction, the legislation was done in conjunction with Senator Grassley.
So this was under President Obama,
Yes,
working with Senator Grassley.
yes,
So this was a bipartisan
yes,
effort, sort
Yes.
of Republican-Democrat.
yes,
They together created the Council
yes,
for Inspector Generals for Integrity and Efficiency,
yes.
which functions as what?
It acts as an independent entity established in the executive branch to oversight, train, educate, and provide individual counsel for all inspectors general. It answers unto itself.
Okay, how can it be an independent entity
It was
inside the
established by
executive
Congress
branch?
because Congress established it as an independent entity inside the executive branch.
How can you be inside the executive branch and
can't.
not be answerable to the president?
Well, you can if you don't believe in the unitary executive, that the president owns the executive branch. You can do that.
Wow. So who do they believe owns the executive branch?
Well, that's a good question. The president thinks he does.
Or the whole
And-
country thinks he does.
Oh, well, yes, the country agrees with him, but there is such a thing as we call the administrative state. Yes, we have this thing called the administrative state where we
of
have
unelected officials
Yes,
who, as far as the American people, so when they say it's a government of the people, for the people, and by the people,
yes.
they don't mean it.
Sometimes people refer to the Department of Justice as the Department of Just Us, U.S. Just us.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. Wow. Here he talks about the boomerang effect.
When you throw the boomerang, it comes back to the
Right.
person who threw it. There is no doubt that all of these people who volunteered to perform public service on behalf of this president will become targets.
How?
I think that as we go through, and if the guard changes in the House or the Senate, they will be brought up on the very charges that the weaponization working group is supposed to be doing. They will not be given a pass.
So you need to explain that. What exactly do you mean?
The very work that the weaponization working group is supposed to be doing, they're supposed to be ferreting out corruption. You know, sort of like what we gave to the court.
Right.
They will use that. Except this time it will not be for this particular political class. It will be for their political class.
So if I understand what you're saying is, it won't be the people who carried out the fraud, the waste, the abuse, and the corruption, the seditious conspirators who have tried to overthrow the government, who have weaponized
Yes.
the Department of Justice, who weaponized the FBI, who
Yes.
weaponized the intel agencies. It won't be them. They won't be going down for their crimes.
No.
It will be all of the people from the president down
Yes.
who are currently in positions of power and authority, who are in office.
Who are abrogating their responsibility to stand tall and do the people's work.
which is to hold these people accountable.
So the price that they will pay will be, they'll be held accountable for the crimes they were supposed to fix.
And didn't.
Yes, that's called a boomerang.
So that's a setup.
Yes.
It's also called a setup.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so this may be counterintuitive for some people, and so I just want to be certain that people really grasp what we're talking about. So instead of the people who've actually committed crimes being held accountable for those crimes, the people who are now in office,
In
who
power.
who have taken an oath, and this is the key, right? Because
Yes.
that oath legally binds them.
Yes.
To stop the weaponization of government, to address the grievances of the American public,
And the whistleblowers that have been abused and
and the January 6th defendants
yes,
who've been victims of
all.
weaponization, and all the other people. So their failure to actually do that is going to be used against them.
Yes, but more important than that, it will break the heart of what got this particular president in office. It's going to break the heart of every single person who thought that this president was going to fix the problem.
And didn't. And not only that, but he will be impeached for not fixing the problem.
And his staff, all the president's men.
All the way through the government, anyone
Yes.
they want to get rid of. Not their people.
They will be punished, yes.
And punished how?
I would assume they will be legally charged and they will face legal charges, probably by the DOJ, Public Integrity Section, Criminal Division, civil rights violations, everything. Yes.
You know, it's interesting because I did speak to somebody who works inside the government, and one of the things that they're looking at in the intelligence world, this group is looking at reports that the law firm Perkins Coie, which is, you know, very famous for Mark Elias, they were heavily involved in Russia collusion. In fact, they even had an FBI agent had an office inside Perkins Coie, right? Or was it the other way around? I can't remember. But Perkins Coie and the FBI were working together, and they were very much part of this fake Russia collusion narrative that was a seditious conspiracy. These people are preparing legislation to make administrative functions in the government. Failure to perform those administrative functions can expose the administrators to the death penalty. Is that even conceivable to you?
Yes.
Why?
Oh my goodness. Do you understand what's happening here? The architects of lawfare are now facing it. Remember this? Sunday Morning Futures. Maria Bartiromo. Adam Schiff going down.
Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud. And joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the director of the DOJ Weaponization Working Group, Ed Martin. He is investigating the weaponization of government, including Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud, and the January 6th probe, among others. Ed Martin, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Oh, always a pleasure, Maria.
And Ed, it has really, truly been a decade of dirty tricks, and that's being kind about it, against Donald Trump, beginning with the Russia hoax, to the impeachments, to the indictments, to the Hunter Biden laptop. Assess for us the last 10 years in your view, and you have criminal referrals right now on Adam Schiff, Letitia James, among others. What is the status?
Well, first of all, thanks for asking about the last 10 years. I mean, you know, when Donald Trump came into office as president, he signed an executive order saying, go and find out how government was weaponized against the citizens. When Attorney General Bondi came into office, she put a memo, put more specifics to it, and said, get to the bottom of this. She gave a specific list and a broad charge. And I have to tell you, for your viewers, we have the Attorney General Bondi has that Department of Justice spinning like a top. We've got more stuff going on. A lot of it we can't talk about because of the nature of it, but it's going like crazy. And one of them was, we were in a group, we're still in it, working on the Russia hoax. And Tulsi Gabbard declassified what happened, and she sent it over to us, to DOJ, as a criminal referral, and that's ongoing now. But what that was, and Maria, you're one of the earliest, I think you might be the only person, the only journalist who said early on, this is a Russia hoax. And you know, Brett had President Trump on an interview on that flight to Alaska, and in the interview, President Trump said, the Russia hoax was meant to destroy the relationship with Russia, make it impossible to get things under control, get a reset like Hillary said she wanted. So what we have in the Department of Justice now is a weaponization working group and the backing of our leadership to go and find this stuff. And so the Russia hoax, we know the birthday of the Russia hoax. It's December 8th, 2016, where the Obama administration, including Obama, said, don't put the truth out, lie, and ask the media to help us, and the Washington Post and others jumped right in. And then we had the Russia hoax that went on for 10 years. And every time they get in trouble, meaning the deep state and others, they throw another hoax out. And all we're doing at DOJ and all we're doing across the government is saying, get the truth out. And then, by the way, let's hold people accountable. And that's exactly what's going on. So when Bill Pulte sends a criminal referral over to us, and he says Letitia James and Adam Schiff, and by the way, both their lawyers have come out and talked publicly about that criminal referral. So you can talk to them about the specifics, because I'm going to tell you what we're going to do is we're going to follow the facts. Every American has that has a mortgage or has other documents they sign has to follow the law. We're going to go to the very bottom of the facts, and if somebody did something wrong, we're not only going to hold them accountable, we're also going to look at everything else that they've been doing, because when you're a liar, you lie not just on one thing. When you're a cheater, you cheat not just on one thing. When you're doing corruption, you generally don't just do it on one thing. So that's our what we're asked to do as prosecutors, and that's what we're doing.
Well,
So, yes, we know this to be true. The DOJ's new weaponization working group, to be led by Ed Martin, will investigate, dismantle, prosecute government agencies and individuals who have been targeting Americans for total destruction. It's underway. It's happening now. Whistleblowers are coming forward. President Trump laying it out. And the architects of lawfare are now staring down the barrel of the very machine that they built. Adam Schiff, Letitia James, the leakers, the liars, the political prosecutors, they set the precedent that the justice system could be weaponized for political purposes, and now that precedent's being used against them. You saw that. Colonel Schindler warned them. Ed Martin documented the abuses, and the DOJ weaponization working group is turning those documents into indictments. The boomerang's been thrown down, and it's coming back very fast. Now, here's why it matters. It's because for years, Americans watched in horror as federal agencies were turned into political weapons. They watched innocent people destroyed by investigators that were never about justice. They watched Adam Schiff lie on national television with zero consequences. They watched Letitia James promise to prosecute a man before she even took office. And they wondered if accountability would ever come. Well, tonight we do have our answer. The DOJ Weaponization Working Group has open investigations. And the colonel's gone public with warnings that the hunters are becoming the hunted, and the boomerang is in flight, and it's heading straight for the people who thought they were untouchable. This is what happens when power shifts and precedents matter. So do you think that Adam Schiff and Letitia James face prosecutions for weaponizing their offices? Yes or no? Let's talk about it. And if you want to support our work, hit the merch shop, link below.